voice sounds like a fan tuning in background. Boom, boom. Okay. 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 Let me know. Running, not tuning, music is playing. Now I hear your voice. That's good. That's good news. How about now? I know there's a delay, so I apologize. And I am glad that there is only one person here, and it might be just my wife. So, no voice again. That's okay. That's okay. I hope the voice is coming. Let me go like this. Hit that. Keep listening. Now I hear you. All right. So I'm going to assume that I fixed those problems. I'm getting some confirmation. So I'm just going to go into the video. Again, I am so glad that you are here with me on a Sunday evening. Every end of the weekend, I like to give you a little bit of insight into what I'm doing with Alpha Red and do a little draw stream. And I hope that you enjoyed the time that we can spend together. And if you're watching it later, I'm glad. Let me see. All good now. Great. That's the confirmation I needed, and I am happy to move forward. Like I said, I'm just glad that you're here. Thank you for spending some time with me. Thank you for being patient through the technical difficulties that I seem to have every single week. Every single week, I'm learning how to ride the bike all over again. So I am very grateful that you give me some latitude with my inability to learn this technical stuff. I always thought that I was pretty good with technology, and then you try something new and you realized how much you have not put into learning the new stuff. So here we are. I'm glad you're here. We are going to do a deep dive into, not a deep dive, we're just going to skim a little bit about how I feel about Spawn #1 and why it was so important to me early on in my comic book collecting years, and how it inspired me to collect comics and now draw and create my own comics. So back in, let's grab some of the old thingies right here, and I'm gonna hit this drawing board. And this was really the first comic book that I wanted to collect. I was so, I don't know, there was just an energy at the time. Let me do this, yeah. So there was an energy at the time when I picked this comic book up, and I largely picked it up because of the artist Todd McFarlane. So a friend of mine, Val, had a bunch of comic books, and he was telling me about Spider-Man #1. And so just like a lot of people who didn't know much about comic books, a #1 just seemed like the perfect, it seemed like it was going to be valuable someday. Little did we know that, if a million comic books were sold, the likelihood of that comic book being sold for millions of dollars later on down the road is very unlikely. So, but I didn't know that. So I just thought #1, Spider-Man, really cool version of Spider-Man drawn like I've never seen him drawn before. Got me excited. That was way back in 1990. I went back and picked up a lot of his older comic work with Batman and some of his other amazing Spider-Man work. So it did get me into collecting. So I attribute him for getting me excited about comic books. I always liked artwork. I liked cartoons. I always drew. So it was something that it kind of inspired me. when I saw his artwork, and there was something exciting about his artwork that really got me into drawing. So thank you, Little by Little Homeschool with the W chat, whatever that means. But so little did we know that 2 years later, Todd McFarlane and 6 other artists from Marvel would come out with their own comic book company called Image, and they revolutionized the independent comic book world. There was really no other successful comic book company that has come along since they came along, and there were many smaller independent comic book companies that tried to challenge Marvel and DC, but it wasn't until Image came along that it really kind of knocked the big two on their heels and got them to sit up and take notice of another challenger. And there were politics behind the scenes that kind of kept them down, and they kind of fizzled out because they were all show, a lot of artwork centered fame and fortune, and they did not calculate how the lack of writing would take away from the stories, and the lack of I'm going to bring it up here so that we can see it a little bit better. The lack of story and the lack of buy-in from, well, not the lack of buy-in, because Spawn #1 sold 1.7 million copies, and no one knew who Spawn was. So it was sold primarily on the name of Todd McFarlane and his popularity as an artist. So, and that's why I bought it for sure. And I thought it was a great story at the time. Now reading it over, I was probably, 14, 15 years old at the time. But now, reading it over, there leaves much to be desired. As I am creating my own comics, I am a lot older than Todd McFarlane was when he started this. And obviously he had some influences from The Dark Knight Returns, a lot of the news blurbs, and reading it now, it just seems very basic. And I still think that the artwork is exciting to look at. So there's not much to complain about as far as artwork goes, but that's definitely was the selling point, and that's what really caused the excitement way back when. And I just remember this double page vertical thing. It just kind of blew my mind as a kid. But really, that is the reason why it was so important. Spawn #1 was so important is because it's one of the only ones that made it through since 1992, since the birth of Image Comics in 1992. It has continuously run. It has never stopped and restarted. Spawn has more than 350 issues by the time, as of today. 357 copies, I think, 357 issues. Todd McFarlane only drew about 50 of them. There's been ups and downs. They started off, this #1 sold 1.7 million copies, but the run went down as far as, I've heard, 50,000 copies per month, and all the way down to 20,000 copies per month was another rumor that I heard, researching a little bit on the internet. But it survived, and now there are multiple Spawn titles. Like an older version of Spawn, there was Medieval Spawn. I don't think that belongs to Todd McFarlane anymore, but Gunslinger and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, that's why That's why I got excited when I got a sketch cover for the Spawn #1, because all those memories came back, and all the things that inspired me way back when I first started finding comics and dreaming about becoming a comic book artist one day. Those are all things that happened partially because of Spawn #1. And so when I think about drawing this cover, it transports me back to my 17, 18-year-old self, when I was dreaming big. I was going to go and move out to California and try to get a job at Homage Studios, which was Jim Lee's art studio. And Jim Lee was my favorite of all the Image creators. But Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man was the initial one who got me started as far as collecting comics. So I attribute my just my excitement for comics to Todd McFarlane's artwork. And so it's fun for me to try to draw Spawn. Not that I would draw Spawn now. It has a lot of demonic kind of storylines, and I think Todd McFarlane, he's not a Satanist or anything, but I don't think that he's definitely not a Christian. Maybe an atheist, but so it's exciting for me to get to draw this, just because I haven't attempted it in a long time. I've had commissions before, very unsuccessful commissions. I apologize to some of the fans of Spawn who have commissioned me to draw them a Spawn in the past. There's a level of skill, I think, to kind of capture some of the energy that comes with a character like Spawn, especially because the creator of Spawn has such a dynamic style. So you definitely, if you're a fan of the comic, then you are definitely a fan of some of the art style that has been used to create the comic book. Greg Capullo drew Spawn for a long, long time, and that's what he's kind of known for now, other than his great run on Batman. But before he came on Spawn, even though he did X-Force and some work for Marvel, his name didn't become famous until he was on Spawn for many, many years. And then once he left Spawn to do some work on Batman, he became a superstar as big as Todd McFarlane, I think, as far as his artwork is concerned. And Todd McFarlane doesn't draw as much anymore, so it's kind of it's sad to think that my artistic heroes from way back when don't draw anymore, because they have made their money and they have moved on. Spawn has had toys. Todd McFarlane, who created Spawn, started doing toys, and so in 1994, his Todd toys that turned into McFarlane toys became an industry disruptor as well. So that's just kind of what he's known for, is kind of helping to disrupt industries. First in comics, and then in toys. And so eventually it became a cartoon in 1997. on HBO, they had 3 seasons of Spawn the cartoon. And before comic book movies were super popular, and before you know, the craze for diversity in media, they had Spawn the movie in 1997 with a black lead character for the superhero. Very, very ahead of its time. So, hey, what's going on, Mario? How's the, thanks for being here, man. How's the Kickstarter going? What can we, how can we promote your Gideon Uprising Kickstarter? Do you have a, I guess I've tried to link to outside things from my OBS studio, and it has not worked. I could probably do a little bit better this time, now that I am a little bit more familiar with it, with OBS Studio, but I don't feel confident enough to try right now. So I apologize. But so if anybody is watching even later, Gideon Uprising from Valor Comics is on Kickstarter, and I think that it's like 30 couple percent. You're getting there. Like I advised, it's a grind, right? It's yeah. So yep, Greg Capullo, I think is going to go down as the best Spawn artist of all time, and he did the Spawn Batman after he did an awesome run on Batman. So I was super excited that he did that, and now that Greg Capullo is back over at Marvel doing some X-Men, Wolverine type stuff, I hope he makes his way over to the Spider-Man stuff, and they do a Spawn Spider-Man crossover with Todd doing the inks again, like he did on the Spawn Batman. As much as he said that he doesn't want to do that or doesn't have time to do that, I think McFarlane could make time for that, especially just the inks. If Greg Capullo does the pencils. So now I did stop buying Spawn. I don't know what issue, how long I lasted collecting Spawn. Admittedly, the story is not the greatest, and so as much as I respect McFarlane and what he's done and the longevity of Spawn being around, I just kind of didn't move the needle for me, especially as dark as it was getting, and as I was growing in my faith, it was just not something that I was. It was one of the easier ones to drop because of how dark it was. Yeah, so that's why I've been excited about doing this particular sketch cover. If you've never joined me before, let me see, where are my tools? I swear they were right here. Anyway, let me take a step away here. I'm back. Yeah, I'm looking for some deeper, darker blacks here, or bigger, fatter blacks, so that I can cover more ground here. So I use these Pigma microns. I know that people have mixed feelings about them, but I feel like they do the trick for me, for the most part. So I'll stick with them until I get a lot of people suggesting that I move away to another brand, give another brand a try. Where was I going? Okay, I'm just doing it for this down here. This tip doesn't feel like it's very strong anymore. But yeah, bro. Those inks on Capullo Batman are mint. They are the best inks. I don't want to throw any shade on my man, Greg Capullo, but he does not always, like, I've seen his pencils and they're fantastic, right? But nobody inks him as well. He doesn't always look good. Let's put it that way. But with Jonathan Glapio, yeah, I always mix that up. But Jonathan Glapio's inks on him are the best inks. It makes his stuff, it's better than his own inks. It's just, that's where it's at, is when Jonathan Glapio inks him. I agree 100%. And I don't know if you let anybody else ink you, Mario, but it's hard for me because I have had some bad experiences. If you've listened to any of my draw streams before and I talked about inking, I've had some bad experiences where people like cross their eyes and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't even look right, man. Like, why are their eyes crossed? Like, do you not see that they are not a cross-eyed character? But then that's what they turn in, and then I have to redo it. But yeah, so I apologize for anybody who is watching this later on and put up with all my technical problems in the beginning. And I just thank you if you made it this far. And Mario, if you missed all that, you're lucky. I didn't have any I bet Mario Ruiz is the best inker on Mario. But yeah, you want to, but like, how do you, if you're like a Greg Capullo, how do you find your Jonathan Glapio, right? Like, if you never kind of put it out there or allow other inkers to ink your stuff, I did have a Cyclops that I did in pencil, and I put it out on an inking board on Facebook, and I said, if anybody wants to use this as practice, go ahead. And I was just curious. That was my kind of way to kind of feel it out without paying money for an inker. But really, I would probably hire 2 out of the 5 or 6 guys who inked that Cyclops, based on that Cyclops. And it wasn't just tracing my stuff. They did enhance it a little bit. So, and which is something that I didn't think that I would want, but they did a really bang up job. And it didn't look exactly like my inks, but man. So Mario, tell me, if you're still here, how the Rise Up Con went. Was it well attended? Would you do it again? Was it well run? I know that I shared with you some contacts that I had made from the homeschool convention, and they seemed like super positive people, and it seemed like they knew what they were doing. They're committed comic book enthusiasts who put on the show with Kevin Sorbo. I'm using the right one. But you never know. I don't know. I met them. They were nice people. They invited me to be down there. I was not able to. I had to be up here. So Rob Hunter did a great job on some stuff I did back in the day. Terry Austin also did a page. Terry Austin did a page of yours? Holy smokes, bro. If you have his number, I would love to commission him to ink some of my stuff. I don't know if he still does that, but his stuff, the John Byrne, Terry Austin's X-Men stuff, so good. And that was back when the inkers were like finishers. They were trusted much more to dig into some of those pencils. Like the penciler was just kind of the storyteller guy. Bro, Terry Austin. I know he lives somewhere in New York here. I think you live in New York, so when I say here, I think you live down by the city. I'm up here in central New York, so just a little bit far. But man, we'll have to touch base if you have a connection with Terry Austin. That would just be crazy. That would be crazy. Now my mind is reeling. Like, wow, what picture would I give him? Because I'm doing. I didn't give an update of Alpharetta number 6 yet, so I've got Alpharetta page 6, number 6, page 6 complete. Everything it was running ahead of schedule, and then this week was there were a lot of personal things that happened this week that kind of kept my mind very occupied. We'll leave it at that. And I was not able to capitalize on being ahead on pages by the middle of last week, because I got started on page 6 pretty early. And so I thought I would get done with page 6 by the sometime earlier in the week, and then jump into page 7, but not so much the case. Let's see, Rise Up was inaugural and attendance was low. That's disappointing. That's disappointing here. Exhibitors were awesome and networking was great. Pigeon Forge is a great place. I thought it was in Sevierville, but Pigeon Forge, it was where the homeschool convention that I went to was at, and that place was a madhouse. I couldn't imagine it at the end of May. I went at the beginning of May, and there were already touristy things going on, and it was just like everywhere. And I was like, my goodness, I would not want to be around here in peak tourist season. But yeah, no, Pigeon Forge was fun. It was good. We went out. We did a racetrack, a go-kart thing. So that was all cool. Yeah, Sevierville, I think is a nice town. Yeah, because we had to drive. You have to drive through Sevierville. Sevier, I don't know. I don't know how to say it. The way that they were saying it, it sounded like Sevierville, but I don't know. I kept saying Sevierville in my head, but I was like, maybe the locals just have that accent, and it is Sevierville, but it sounds more like Sevierville. But yeah, no, it seems like we stopped and got gas there, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's disappointing. I saw that Dean Cain put out a video. He was sitting on the tarmac on a plane, couldn't get there. So that was a bummer. But I mean, I didn't hear about it until the beginning of May. So I don't know how you heard about it. Maybe you can share when you first heard about it. I did not. I knew nothing about it until the exhibitors came up to me at the homeschool convention, and that was May 1st, May 2nd, May 1st and 2nd, I think were the dates. Gosh, I hate chains. I don't know if you like doing chains, Mario, but my goodness. Maybe if I have a character in my comic for one page who has a chain. His name is Chain Reaction. And I was like, I hate it. Sevierville. You are correct. Yeah. Creative Alfred. Too funny, bro. Too funny. Oh, man. No, the networking would definitely have been worth the trip. I'm sorry to hear that the attendance was low, because I'd love to see more of that happening. You know, I wish it wasn't so far away. And especially in the Bible Belt down there, you would think that it would be better attended. But no, we just gotta figure out where our people are. Where are our people, Mario? Where are our people? So you come down here, and that's his other side. All right. So hopefully, let's just go ahead and do his other side, or else I'll forget. And these sketch covers, I mean, I'm doing some things that I would typically be doing with the pencil, but because it's a sketch cover, I'm just, there's only so much time that I have, and I don't have. This isn't a commission. This isn't a more expensive commission. Sometimes I'll ask a customer how detailed they want the commission, and if I just throw out some prices, and if they want something, if they're willing to pay for something more, then I give them more detail. But there is no customer for this, so depending on how much time I spend on it, I will put a price tag somewhere between $40 and $60. And if I put some color on it, it'll be closer to $70 to $80. And I don't know if anybody will buy it even. And it'll sit there for years, and then one day somebody will buy it. Too funny. No, I'm sorry if you felt like it was a waste. I hope it didn't feel like a waste. I mean, to be around a bunch of those creators would have been nice, and seeing what everybody else is doing. Like, what are they doing to market? What are they doing to get more eyeballs on their faith-based product, both, I guess. But yeah. So what kind of comics are you picking up nowadays, Mario? Are you picking up anything on the regular? I had stopped for a while, and I only get excited about stuff that I kind of grew up with, or artists that I kind of grew up with. If they are involved in a project, I'll likely pick it up. Like even the restart of Battle Chasers, even though it wasn't drawn by Joe Madureira, I still picked it up. And the artwork wasn't bad. The story got a little more dark, and Garrison changed. But it's hard to find good quality comics, and it's hard to know who to trust for recommendations on the internet. So I'd love to hear what you're picking up. I was right there with you for a long time there, brother. Alpha Red was the only thing that I was reading, and I mean, I'm biased because I like my story and I like my character. Like I don't know. So I didn't mind reading Alpha Red over and over and over and over again. And I'm looking forward to reading Gideon Uprising myself. So I've actually been picking up the Energon universe from Skybound Image Comics. And if you are a fan of the cartoons back then, man, they do a good job of kind of bringing it up to like it's really for guys our age who grew up with it, and it's kind of a retelling of it in a more mature way. So it's not for kids. Not that it's terrible, but it's more violent, which I can handle. I don't know if that's how biblical is that. You know, as we set things before our eyes, they should be whatever wonderful, praiseworthy. I'm terrible with Bible verses under pressure. So, but that's kind of what I struggle with sometimes when I pick up comic books that have too much violence or gore or whatever. I mean, it's obvious when you flip through if it has too much, any sexual content. But when it comes to gore, I'm not into horror either. I don't know how Christians like think about horror stuff, but you know, to each his own. That's something that they'll have to answer for. I don't have to answer for it. I don't judge people on that, depending on the horror, but I don't know how to judge it because I don't partake. Ghost Machine looks good from Image. Yes, so I heard that Rook Exodus, which is the only one that I was kind of interested in because the artist is a Christian. He's a professing Christian, Jason Fabok, and he is a student of Dave Finch. So he's, in my opinion, not as good as Dave Finch, but Dave Finch is not as good as the Dave Finch that I really liked and kind of grew up with the new X-Men, new Avengers back in the day. But yeah, and the mystery is why the comic book industry, is not as excited about Ghost Machine as they are about some other independent creations. You know, creations that are from the Comicsgate guys, the Rippaverse, and all that stuff. Why is it not getting as much? Why are people not talking about it as much? I wonder. I mean, is that the new norm of independent comics these days? Is that you kind of have to have social media presence? You have to have your own YouTube show or just whatever. I'm just trying to feel it all out, trying to figure it out myself, and that is the advice that I was given. And it's hard to do all this stuff. I mean, part of it's fun. I do enjoy interacting with people. Rook by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. Yep, good stuff. Boggles the Mind. Yeah, I've been hearing super good things about that. So I'll probably check that out. All the money kind of goes to Alpha Red right now. So as soon as I figure out the color scheme of the bad guy, one of the bad guys, I'll be spending money on getting it colored so that whenever I get done with it, I am just going to be crowdfunding, not even really crowdfunding, because I'm looking at the Eric July model of just really the mindset is a pre-order. You're really just pre-ordering the comic, and that's kind of where I want to be, where I set that cost super low, and the way that I'm earning money right now is just doing commissions, doing shows, selling Alpha Red. It's doing okay. Alpha Red's doing okay. Better than it was doing last year when I was not promoting it. I'm promoting it this year, and so a lot more sales. Joining up with Starcross Comics, that helped to get more attention. So that's really kind of funding it that way. And it is definitely not a get rich quick kind of hobby. My father-in-law noticed that I was doing well with Alpha Red, and he's like, "So when are you gonna quit your job?" I'm like, "For the money that I'm making on Alpha Red, never." But that's not why I do it. So as a creator and someone with God-given talent, I gotta use it to glorify God. And if He allows me to make a little bit of money doing it, I spend it right back on creating more. So CG stuff is solid. Ripperverse. I know. Yeah. I have Alpha Core. I have the two. What's the name of his guy? Gosh, that's how forgettable it is. I did not get Gyro. I do not have anything CG. I don't think. I don't know if you consider like Graham Nolan and Andy Smith, those guys. I don't know if you consider them CG. I know they appear on EVS's channel to kind of boost their stuff. But ISOM, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, ISOM is forgettable, but it really inspired me in a way that like Image Comics inspired me. Like it was just another. It was successful, so I dissected what makes it successful. Is it just because he has a radio show or a YouTube channel? That's a very, very big part of it. But yeah, the things that he's doing, I don't know. What I'm getting out of the Rippaverse model is that the pre-sales, like just because of the environment, people don't have as much money. People have been burned by creators who collect the money from a crowdfunder and then they don't deliver. That has really burned a lot of goodwill from supporters, from backers. So people are a little bit more hesitant. So if you can show them the product is done, they get it within a month or two after they support, then I think they're more willing to support you. So I know that it's a lot of money up front, but I'm trusting that God provides the customers that will continue providing financially to make the next issues happen. Man, I should throw this away. The tip. I burned the tip of this or something. Not good. Not good. Bad. Nolan and Smith are CG, but put out quality stuff. Absolutely. So I sat next to Graham Nolan in 2018 at Nickel City Con. And it was like, I didn't know really who he was, but I knew that he was popular. He obviously had a big banner that said creator of Bane, and had a bunch of Batman stuff. And he was just very, I don't want to say, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but he was cocky. He's very sure of himself, and it was a little bit to get used to. And he's like, he was telling me about signatures and like how he charges for his signatures. You get the first one or two free, and then he starts charging for more. And I was like, well, it boggled my mind. I'm like, shouldn't you appreciate your customer that they bought your comic, and they're kind of supporting you. And he was like, well, they could go off and make money, and so you're just getting a little piece of that investment that they are using it for. I was like, wow, that's kind of a new way of thinking about it for me. But he was super cool, very professional. I just wasn't used to sitting next to somebody who was like an actual professional who had been in it and whatever. And I was just like, and I was sitting between Graham Nolan and Ken Lashley. I don't know if you're a fan of Ken Lashley. I was always a fan of his artwork. I didn't know anything about the guy. And he's like a big teddy bear, and he's got a laugh that's infectious, and he's always smiling. He's a big guy, big fella, but such a sweet guy, and so stinking talented. And I got smushed between the two of them. It was a good weekend. It was a very, very good convention. I think that was 2018. Yeah, because 2019 I was busy. I was busy with work. I'm always busy with work, but I was doing conventions in 2018, and I kind of stopped. I think that was one of the ones that when I stopped, it was just a little time consuming. All right, so I'm gonna call it quits on this guy. This is mostly done, and if you've seen any of my other live streams, I tinker with these afterwards, just because there's a little bit of pressure when I'm trying to talk and trying to interact on a draw stream, that I give it a little bit of time, and then I go back and see if there's anything I can do to kind of, if I made any glaring mistakes, I'll fix glaring mistakes and that kind of thing, or improve on some things. I want to use the rest of the 5 minutes here to show you, Mario. Since you're the only one here, show you some Alpha Red number 6 stuff. So yeah, that is going to be as complete as this gets for right now. I do want to go back and color this, so stay tuned for that. But here is Alpha Red number 6, the couple of pages that I've been working on. I've kind of photocopied them and I put them here. So I'm super excited about how these are turning out. So you gotta have some talking head scenes, unfortunately, to kind of move the story forward. But it interrupts the action. But this is the latest page. And I don't know what size you work at, Mario, but I decided to be able to produce more, shrinking the size of this down. So this is a normal sheet of paper. And you know that a normal sheet of paper is slightly larger than a comic book. So like it does allow you to add a bunch of detail. Right? So that's the size of a comic. And this is the size of a comic book page, a 10 by 15 space, like a normal comic book size, and then this is the size that I'm working on. And I forget even what the measurements are, but it's probably a half of the, maybe not a half, but it's a reduced size, and it's allowed me to move much faster. I can do a page a week, pretty easy. So that gets me on track. And then let me show you. I'll just keep this up here while I look for a sneak peek at the villains. I have them right here, and then as soon as I start getting ready for the draw stream, I start moving stuff. There it is. I start moving stuff, and it goes bye-bye. So there's a bad guy. I mean, there's a couple of bad guys. I introduced a couple of bad guys. I don't want to get too much into it, but this is the design of how he ends up. And then he has like a robot army, and so that's him. He gets possessed by this demon, and so lots of fun stuff, man. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to share it with fans of Alpha Red, and the fans of Alpha Red are growing, and they're reaching out and letting me know, and I'm super appreciative, super grateful of anybody who's read it and taking the time to reach back out to me. So I hope that you experience that too, Mario, when Gideon comes out. But yeah, that's it. I hate to cut it short, especially because I had so much technical difficulty in the beginning. But if anybody have any other questions, I'm happy to field any questions. But every Sunday night I am here. That's what the plan is. Every Sunday night, 8 o'clock, I do a draw stream. And actually, there's one more sneak peek at the cover that I'm working on. Can I get this in here? Can you see? I'm super excited how it's starting to turn out. This is why I had to finally finish the design of the robots, because of the cover. I was like, I want to draw the cover. I want to start the cover. I have an idea for the cover. And he's standing on these robots, and they're all attacking him. And he's being overwhelmed by the robots, but he's kicking their butts. And but I didn't have the robots designed, so I designed them this week. So all is good. Well, I appreciate you hanging out, man. I used to work conventional. I work art studio during the day and use the Wacom Cintiq, so all my work is all digital. I wish I could switch over. I have, like, right next to me, I bought like almost a Cintiq knockoff. It's a huge screen that you can draw right on. The colors weren't like super great, so they were too vibrant, and they didn't match any other screen, and it didn't match when you printed it out. But then it died on me. I spent like $400 or $500, and now it's just a big paperweight sitting next to me. Every now and again, it'll blink on, and then it blinks off, and I'm just like, man, just buy the Cintiq. But I can't do anything but traditional. It's another skill. Like the learning that technique is another skill. So that's probably not going to happen for me anytime soon. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right. This thing is telling me it's time to go. I appreciate you sticking around. Grace, peace.